Your arrival here is not a coincidence. Something inside you guided you toward these words, and deep down you already know that. For a long time, you have been searching for reassurance. You have carried questions in silence and kept many of your feelings hidden from the people around you. At times, you wondered whether you were simply imagining things or reading too much into what your heart was telling you. Yet no matter how hard you tried to dismiss it, that feeling never completely disappeared. It followed you through quiet evenings and restless nights. It stayed with you when you distracted yourself with work, responsibilities, and daily routines. Even when you tried to push it aside, it continued to return with the same steady message. There is a reason for that. Not every feeling is created by fear or wishful thinking. Sometimes a feeling remains because it is connected to something deeper than logic. Sometimes your heart recognizes a truth long before your mind is ready to understand it. You have spent so much time questioning yourself. You have tried to convince yourself that what you feel is too intense, too unusual, or too difficult to explain. But every attempt to ignore it only brought you back to the same place. That is because some experiences leave a mark on the soul. There are connections that feel different from everything that came before them. They do not fit neatly into ordinary explanations. They remain present even through long periods of distance, silence, or uncertainty. Their influence continues to be felt regardless of how much time passes. When a connection carries that kind of impact, it becomes impossible to forget. You may have tried to find practical reasons for why this person still occupies your thoughts. You may have searched for evidence, looked for signs, or questioned every emotion you experienced. Yet the more you analyzed it, the more you realized that the bond remained. That persistence matters. Temporary attachments usually fade. They lose their power when circumstances change. But some connections continue to live inside you because they were never based on convenience alone. They awakened something important within you. That awakening is one of the strongest signs. This person did not simply enter your life and leave everything unchanged. Their presence challenged you. It revealed parts of yourself that had been hidden. It encouraged growth, healing, and self-discovery in ways you may not have expected. The connection became a mirror. It reflected your strengths and your fears. It showed you old wounds that still needed attention. It revealed patterns you had carried for years without fully recognizing them. It encouraged you to become more aware of who you are and who you are capable of becoming. That kind of growth is never accidental. Many people believe that meaningful relationships exist only to bring comfort. But some of the most important connections arrive to create transformation. They challenge old beliefs. They encourage emotional growth. They push both people toward a higher understanding of themselves. This is why certain relationships feel unforgettable. Even when circumstances create separation, the lessons remain active. The impact continues. The growth continues. The transformation continues. If you have been wondering why there has been distance, silence, or uncertainty, remember that growth often happens away from the spotlight. Some lessons require solitude. Some healing requires time. Not every pause is a rejection. Sometimes a pause exists because two people are still becoming the versions of themselves they need to be. Life has a way of preparing people through experiences they do not immediately understand. Challenges shape character. Difficult moments reveal inner strength. Periods of separation often teach lessons that could never be learned through constant closeness. What feels like delay can sometimes be preparation. This is why it is important not to view every period of silence as an ending. Not every quiet season means the story is over. Sometimes it means important work is happening beneath the surface. Growth is rarely visible while it is taking place. Just as roots grow beneath the ground before a tree rises into the light, personal transformation often happens in ways that cannot be seen immediately. You have been changing. The experiences you have faced have strengthened you. They have helped you understand yourself more clearly. They have taught you lessons about love, boundaries, patience, and self-worth. And while you have been growing, the other person has been facing their own journey. People process emotions differently. Some confront their feelings immediately. Others avoid them for as long as possible. Some build walls around their hearts because vulnerability feels frightening. Others convince themselves they no longer care because facing the truth feels overwhelming. Yet avoidance rarely lasts forever. Eventually, every person reaches a point where they can no longer ignore what is real. The distractions lose their effectiveness. The excuses stop working. The walls begin to crack. Truth has a way of returning. What appears to be indifference from the outside is often something far more complicated on the inside. Fear, pride, uncertainty, and emotional wounds can keep people silent for much longer than they intended. But silence does not always mean absence of feeling. Sometimes, silence is evidence of an internal struggle. Sometimes, it is the sound of a person confronting parts of themselves they have spent years avoiding. This process is not easy. Growth often requires old beliefs to fall apart. It requires pride to soften. It requires fears to be acknowledged. It requires honesty where denial once existed. That is why transformation can look messy before it looks beautiful. The person you think about may be facing lessons that are every bit as important as the ones you have faced. Their path may look different from yours, but growth is still taking place. Life has a way of teaching each soul exactly what it needs to learn. And when clarity finally arrives, everything changes. Confusion begins to lose its power. Fear starts to loosen its grip. The truth becomes impossible to ignore. That moment cannot be forced. No amount of worry can speed it up. No amount of overthinking can create it. It arrives when the necessary lessons have been learned and when both people are capable of seeing clearly. This is why patience matters. Patience is not passive waiting. It is trusting your growth. It is continuing to build a meaningful life. It is choosing peace over obsession. It is understanding that your happiness cannot depend on another person's actions. The strongest position you can reach is one of wholeness. When you feel complete within yourself, you stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop trying to control outcomes that are beyond your control. Instead, you become open. You allow life to unfold naturally. You trust that what truly belongs in your life will find its way to you at the right time. As you continue moving forward, release the need to know every detail of how the future will unfold. Let go of timelines. Let go of expectations. Let go of the belief that everything must happen according to a specific plan. Trust the process. Trust the growth you have already achieved. Trust the strength you have developed through every challenge. Most importantly, trust yourself. You are no longer the same person you were when this journey began. You have learned. You have evolved. You have gained wisdom through experience. That growth matters. And as you stand at this point in your life, recognize that the future is not being determined by how much time has passed. It is being shaped by readiness. It is being shaped by healing. It is being shaped by alignment. When resistance finally gives way to understanding, when fear gives way to courage, and when clarity rises above confusion, the next chapter reveals itself naturally. Until then, continue becoming the person you are meant to be. Everything else will follow from there. They are moving closer to a moment they can no longer avoid. A moment where the weight of being apart becomes heavier than every fear that kept them away. For a long time, they believed distance would make things easier. They thought time would silence their feelings and help them move on. They convinced themselves that walking away was the safest choice. But something has changed inside them. The emptiness they tried to ignore has continued growing. The lessons they were meant to learn have slowly revealed themselves. The truth they once pushed aside keeps returning to their awareness. No matter how far they tried to run, they could not escape what their heart already knew. The day is approaching when the pain of living without you becomes greater than the fear of facing what they feel. When that day arrives, their actions will not come from confusion. They will not come from loneliness. They will not come from a temporary emotional moment. Their actions will come from understanding. They will come from a place of surrender. Not surrender to another person, but surrender to the truth they have been resisting for so long. The walls that once protected their pride are beginning to weaken. The stories they told themselves are losing their power. The excuses that kept them distant no longer feel convincing. Deep within, they are starting to recognize that the connection they tried to leave behind is the very connection they were meant to understand. This is not happening overnight. It is the result of many silent battles. It is the result of countless moments of reflection. It is the result of facing parts of themselves they once avoided. Every lesson has been leading them toward greater clarity. And as this shift grows stronger within them, something else begins happening around you. The universe starts bringing your attention back to the connection. Perhaps you have noticed certain signs appearing more often than usual. Maybe there is a dream that keeps repeating itself. Maybe a memory suddenly enters your mind when you least expect it. Perhaps you keep seeing the same numbers over and over again. Maybe a particular song appears at the exact moment you are thinking about them. Perhaps their name shows up in conversations, messages, or unexpected places. These experiences may seem small, but they leave an impression that is difficult to ignore. The reason they stand out is because they carry a feeling. They arrive with a sense of familiarity. They create a quiet awareness inside you. They remind you that something is still unfolding behind the scenes. Not every sign is meant to predict the future. Some signs simply remind you to remain connected to your own intuition. The important thing is not the sign itself. The important thing is how it makes you feel. Pay attention to that feeling. Your intuition speaks through peace. Your intuition speaks through calm knowing. Fear creates pressure. Fear creates panic. Fear demands immediate answers. But genuine intuition often arrives softly. It settles into your spirit without needing to prove itself. You already know the difference. You have felt it many times before. That is why you must trust yourself. Trust what your heart recognizes. Trust what continues returning to your awareness. You are not imagining everything. You are not creating meaning out of nothing. You are not holding on simply because you refuse to let go. There is movement taking place. There are emotions rising to the surface. There is truth emerging where confusion once existed. On both sides of this connection, something is awakening. Clarity is replacing uncertainty. Understanding is replacing resistance. And every step is leading toward a moment that has already begun forming beyond your view. A significant turning point is approaching. Everything that has happened until now has been preparing the path. The silence served a purpose. The distance served a purpose. The waiting served a purpose. Even the moments that felt painful carried lessons that were necessary for growth. The universe does not guide two souls through so many experiences without reason. Every challenge revealed something important. Every separation exposed a wound that needed healing. Every disappointment uncovered a lesson that needed to be understood. Nothing was wasted. Nothing happened without meaning. The turning point that approaches will not arrive in a way that leaves you confused. It will not appear as another mystery you must solve. It will not arrive through mixed signals or uncertainty. When divine timing finally unfolds, it brings clarity. When the moment is truly ready, things become obvious. You will not need to force understanding. You will not need to convince yourself. You will simply know. The action that comes from them will carry a different energy than before. It will not feel rushed. It will not feel careless. It will not feel uncertain. It will come from someone who has reached the end of running, someone who finally understands that avoidance creates more suffering than honesty, someone who realizes that denying the truth has only delayed their own peace. When they move forward, they will do so with greater humility. They will do so with greater openness. They will do so with greater honesty. These qualities may have frightened them before. They may have avoided vulnerability because it felt unsafe. They may have hidden behind pride because it felt easier. But growth changes people. Life has a way of teaching lessons that cannot be ignored forever. And sometimes the very things we fear become the keys to our freedom. Still, timing remains important. The universe never rushes what needs time to mature. It does not bring people together simply because they miss each other. It brings people together when they are finally capable of creating something healthier than before. That is why your own growth has been so important. The work you have done on yourself matters. The healing you have accomplished matters. The strength you have built matters. You were never meant to spend this period waiting for another person to change. You were meant to become the strongest version of yourself. You were meant to discover your value. You were meant to learn how to stand confidently on your own. You were meant to develop a deeper relationship with yourself. Because lasting love cannot grow from dependency, it grows from wholeness. It grows when two people meet as complete individuals. It grows when fear no longer controls every decision. As this new chapter approaches, your focus must remain on receiving rather than chasing. Receiving is not passive. Receiving is not waiting nervously for something to happen. Receiving is a state of openness. It is a state of trust. It is the willingness to allow life to unfold without constantly trying to control every detail. Many people block their blessings because they become attached to a specific outcome. They imagine exactly how events must happen. They create detailed expectations. They try to force the future into a particular shape. But true trust requires letting go. Trust allows space for possibilities greater than what the mind can create. Trust understands that what belongs in your life will find its way to you. Trust understands that force is not necessary. As you move forward, continue releasing any fear that still remains. Release the resentment. Release the disappointment. Release the anger connected to the past. These emotions may feel protective, but they often become barriers. They keep old wounds active. They prevent new experiences from entering. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgiveness does not mean approving of painful behavior. Forgiveness means choosing freedom over bitterness. It means refusing to carry old pain into your future. The separation taught you valuable lessons. It helped shape the person you have become. It strengthened your resilience. It deepened your understanding. It revealed strengths you may never have discovered otherwise. For that reason, every experience served a purpose. Even the difficult moments contributed to your growth. Now the energy around this connection continues changing. The signs become stronger. The awareness becomes clearer. Your intuition becomes sharper. You may feel excitement building inside you, but remain grounded. Protect your peace. Continue focusing on your own growth. Continue creating a life that fulfills you. The strongest foundation for any future connection is the peace you have built within yourself. Remember that the universe is not only preparing them, it is preparing you as well. Everything that has happened has been shaping both of you. Every lesson, every challenge, every period of waiting, every moment of growth. All of it has been part of a larger process, and that process is nearing completion. The long pause is approaching its natural conclusion. The chapter of uncertainty is beginning to close. A new chapter is waiting beyond it. But perhaps the greatest gift is not the return of another person. Perhaps the greatest gift is who you have become along the way. You are stronger now. You are wiser now. You understand yourself more deeply than ever before. You have learned self-respect. You have learned patience. You have learned how to find peace within yourself. These qualities will remain with you no matter what happens next. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. You were being refined. You were being guided toward a higher version of yourself. So continue moving forward with confidence. Continue trusting the journey. Continue protecting your peace. The darkness that once surrounded this chapter is fading. The lessons have been learned. The growth has taken place. The path ahead is becoming clearer. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit strong. And allow destiny to reveal the next chapter exactly as it is meant to unfold.